Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Ultimate Collection, Volume 1 by, what is it here, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Laird? Laird. Okay. So, I'm not gonna lie, again, I was a 90s kid, so I freaking loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up. Like, when I was a wee lad, these guys were the shit. I freaking loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The movies were like, oh man. I think there's only a handful of movies I've watched more than the first two Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I also watched the third movie a lot too, but man, I freaking loved them. I had so many action figures growing up. Oh man, I could go on about these freaking characters. But I actually have never read the comic. And the reason being is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were essentially an indie comic from the 80s. Very few people, I think there were only a couple thousand of the issue ones that were actually made way back in the day by Mirage Comics, which was just the name of the closet that Eastman and Laird freaking created these characters in. And this has been I'm not going to lie, this has been a fascinating read. And it doesn't deviate too much from the primary story that everyone kind of knows about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The origin story of the Turtles is not that different from the movies, but what is different is the tone. First off, the inks in this comic are extremely heavy. These are very, very strong lines. There's not a lot of fine detail or anything. It kind of borders on cartoony, but not really. I don't know. It's hard to explain. When I was going through this comic, I was like, what is the style of this book? Because I'm not even sure. It's not really cartoony, but is it? I don't know, but probably the craziest thing. So you get an opening right here. Here's Leonardo. He's doing narration, and I actually like this a lot. So Eastman and Laird decided not to use thought bubbles. They mainly used either empty space in the panels or narration boxes, which I'm actually starting to think that this is probably the best, I would say, modern way of doing narration or just in general generic writing that is not dialogue. And I think that not because I hate the thought bubble, just because I think I understand why they went this way, because this is easier to draw than a thought bubble, and sometimes it's far easier to maneuver your art in such a way that narration boxes don't interfere with your visual storying, unlike a thought bubble, right? So here Leonardo is, and you see the Ninja Turtles are cornered. They're facing a bunch of gang members, and you got great narration by the team right here. I'm not sure if it's Eastman or Laird who does the writing. I think it's Eastman. And they come out, and here you go. Great, yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a lot of splash pages, or just two-page spreads, which was kind of like, I think these came out in the mid '80s. It's actually kind of rare at the time. Not many people were doing two-page spreads in the mid '80s. They started getting really popular in the late '80s and stupidly popular in the '90s. And they go out and they're fighting a gang, and they're fighting for their lives. And they even wow, look at these gang members freaking shooting at them. Let's see, that looks like a Smith and Wesson. Yeah, these guys are both shooting Smith and Wesson autos, which are kind of rare. And here got a double-barrel shotgun. And what's kind of interesting is, dude, the freaking Ninja Turtles, they freaking kill people. Holy crap, look at this. Freaking Raphael just stabs and murders this guy. Holy shit. By the way, I freaking loved this panel of Raphael, so of course I drew it. Again, they use a weird shading technique that I can't figure out how I can accomplish that with my inks. I just have black and white inks. And some things are a little off. I think the shell is a little off. But otherwise, I got most of the black and whites done. I think, yeah, his face is a little off too. But honestly, the style that they have, it doesn't, you could miss the lines. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. And I kind of like this a lot. Though I would say that it works really well for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Humans that they draw kind of suck, not going to lie. So they just whip the shit out of these guys. They just straight up freaking murder half of them. Look at that freaking Leonardo freaking slices people. Holy crap. By the time the police come, they freaking bounce and they're in a freaking, they jump, classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, jump into the manhole and run away. And then you got this great cityscape right here. Yeah, when I was a little kid, I used to freaking run up to manholes. When I was like really, really, really little and stupid, I used to run up to manholes and like try to open them because I thought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were inside. Man, I freaking love these characters. So here you get the introduction of Splinter, and we go through the origin story. Again, he was in Japan. His owner was a ninjutsu master, and Splinter often mimicked his movements. You get the introduction of this sort of love rivalry between the two characters, Nagi and or Oroku, I should say, and Yoshi or Hamato. And really good. Actually, I gotta applaud them for the 80s. This is actually a really good Japanese names. Those are actually pretty believable. The only thing that isn't believable is the girl's name, Tang Shen. That's not really a Japanese name. That's actually, if anything, I guess it's Chinese. Just sort of like, what's a Chinese woman doing in this? But yeah, these two guys' names are perfect. This girl's name, not so much. Anyhow, they get into a fight over the woman, and Yoshi basically kills Nagi and runs away to America. And his, what is it? Looks like his, was it his son or is his nephew? His younger brother basically vows vengeance. And he gets trained under the Foot Clan, and he becomes Shredder. And he comes to America, moves the Shredder into New York City, and basically murders Yoshi and his wife. Right, and Splinter has to run away, and while he's a rat roaming New York City, he basically, like, dude, this is straight up, like, so this is where I'm a little surprised, because this is basically a rip of freaking Daredevil, or a tribute to Daredevil. So there's some blind dude walking across the street, and a truck's about to run him over, and some dude saves the blind dude, but the truck ends up spilling a freaking toxic radioactive sludge. And it falls through, hits this freaking kid's fishbowl that's full of 4 turtles. And the 4 turtles, the radioactive sludge, and the rat end up in the sewers. And that's how you get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Who would have thought the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles essentially were created as a tribute to Daredevil? It's freaking great, though. So what's interesting is that so Splinter basically got a book that was on Renaissance art that had been thrown in the drain, and that's how he named them Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. So he tells them, hey, go avenge my master and defeat Shredder, right? So they go out on a mission. They freaking jump some dudes and send out a challenge to Shredder right here. He meets them on a rooftop, and we engage in some pretty fun ninja-like fight. By the way, even though the art is kind of its own thing, the panel design and the visual structure is fantastic. There's just, whatever you have to say about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle art, the freaking panel design and visual storytelling is unbelievably good. I really like it. Flows so well. I burned through this in like freaking no time. So the Foot joins up, and you get, again, 2-page spread. This is freaking awesome. Freaking Ninja Turtles just wrecking people. Look at this dude, just got freaking his head slashed open by Leonardo. That's freaking awesome. They defeat the Foot nobodies. So Shredder shows up, and he notices that, by the way, they don't defeat them without cost. Like, they start taking some damage too. And they go on to face Shredder, and Shredder just wrecks all of them one-on-one. They have no chance against them one-on-one. And eventually what they have to do is fight him as a team. And by fighting as a team, they end up overpowering him, and eventually Leonardo gets the jump on him. And they tell him, hey, prove your honor and just commit seppuku, which is really, actually, this is fascinating how much they understood Japanese culture for a bunch of white dudes from the East Coast. It's actually well researched. It's not perfectly researched, but I'm actually surprised at how good these two guys as independent creators did back in the 80s. Really, really fascinating. He doesn't want to go out the honorable way, so he gets out a grenade, a thermite grenade. Funny. And he's about ready to try to kill them all, but Donatello knocks him off the building. He blows up. And the Ninja Turtles are like, all right, cool, let's go get some pizza. Not. There's no mention of pizza in the first issue, by the way. Even though you feel like it should be mentioned, but it's not. But yeah, man, this has been an awesome read. Just to go through the first issue and kind of get a little nostalgia bumps here. Even though I never read this, it was just mainly my love of the characters from the movie and the cartoons that I grew up with. But just reading the 80s, I'm like, dude, this is actually like, even though the art is simplistic, the design and the storytelling is fantastic. And the research is actually pretty good, other than the one girl with the with the Chinese name. I'm honestly really impressed, and I think I might go over some more issues, especially if it's very good. But yeah, man, if you were ever into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you gotta check the comics, dude. They're freaking amazing. Definitely worth checking out. Anyhow, that's the review. Let's see, how did I do? I'd say it was okay. Looking back on it, not the best art, but it's the art of my favorite Ninja Turtle. Anyhow, that's the review. Let me know if you like this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic or the cartoon or the movies, I really don't care. Or my, slowly improving but still aggressively mediocre art, let me know down below. And I will see you next time.